Hey, my name is Dale Childress, and this is my story, July 6th, 2021. 45 years ago today, my dad lost his life at the age of 34. It was probably 2 weeks, maybe three before his 35th birthday, and he had been in a coma 4 years prior to his death. He had a wreck in July of 1972. I was 10 years old. My sister was 12. My mother was like 27. My mother got married at quite a young age. She had my sister when she was 15. I was born on her 18th birthday. Needless to say, I will never forget that particular night when a gentleman came knocking on our door to let us know that my dad had a tragic car accident. And in the days and weeks and months after that, the most profound things happen in life. And now that I'm 59 years old, I look back and I can't begin to imagine what my mother went through at her age with two young children. My dad was in the car business, so we didn't really have insurance. My mother was a waitress at Old Country Store here in Jackson, Tennessee. Loved her job. But needless to say, that left her in a position that over the years I've tried my best to play it out, think about it, and understand some of the decisions that were made. And my kids now are 31 and 33, and to me, they're still kids. To throw that into the mix of life was just something beyond my imagination. And of course, I can only talk about it from my perspective at 10 years old. And again, the life after that, 6 weeks after my dad's wreck, someone broke into our house, really destroyed everything. To this day, we don't know who did it. The police never found out, nor do we know exactly what they were after. But they pulled everything out of drawers. My dad's business briefcase was open and the contents strewn all over the place. Maybe they found what they were looking for. We just don't know it because we didn't know it was there to start with. But when me and my sister came home from school that day, my mother was at work, and the door had been kicked in. So at least we were smart enough to go next door to our neighbor who worked for the railroad but happened to be off that day. And he came over and asked us to stay in the garage, don't go in the house. And he called the police and, they came in, made sure everything was safe. But there were so many things that happened over the course of the 4 years that my dad lay in the hospital. And to my knowledge, the last 2 years my dad was alive, I don't know that I ever saw him. He was in a hospital called West Tennessee Chest Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. So I didn't really have, obviously, at 13 and 14, I didn't have the means to get there. So during those years, it's kind of funny because I look back and so many things could have happened. I could have become bitter, but I didn't. I could have gotten really, really caught up in drugs, which I did play with quite a bit. I mean, I experimented a lot with drugs, but I never got to the point that I would call myself addicted. But I don't even know that today that I want to share some of the parts of the story that could offend someone in the family. I'll share one thing. Is about a year after my dad had been in the hospital, and again, my mother's trying her best to make ends meet. And my sister and I, we probably weren't the best kids at 10 and 12 years old because we were trying to understand life in the perspective of which we could. And we certainly couldn't see life through my mother's eyes. But my mother met a gentleman. I use that term loosely because he was anything but. And he was an ex-convict. and it turned out to be quite the manipulator. And I believe with all my heart that my mother was just looking for affection and maybe even support. Maybe even somebody that could help put food on the table, because we were living. And when I say living on handouts, I really mean we were living on handouts. The community of Jackson rallied in a way that it's hard to believe that it could happen today. In school, I was in the 5th grade, and in school, the parents of the kids donated clothes to me. And as good as that sounds, it had a profound impact on my life in a negative way. As I would wear these clothes to school, the kids, and the kids being kids, they would make fun of me, mock me for wearing their hand-me-down clothes. And as hurtful as it was at the time, now I can look back and go, that was just kids, So it had a profound impact, but it also taught me, it taught me compassion that has stuck with me to this day. So a similar situation happened when my kids were going to school, and I made sure that when we gave to the families in need, that we gave from the best that we had, or we went and bought new. Now, I don't mean to take away from any of the parents that gave away. They may have given all they could possibly give to us, and even their kids probably didn't realize how harmful their actions were to me, and that's okay. But it was a life lesson that stuck with me for a long time. And one of the things I also remember back in the day, I really don't know how this works today, but there was a free lunch program at school, and the school obviously accepted my sister and I into the free lunch program, and I won't speak for her, but for me, I remember on Mondays the kids would walk up, they would line up, and they'd walk up to the teacher and give their $1 for that week's worth of food. And I was left sitting at my desk because I was on the free lunch program. And so the kids made fun of that a lot. And again, I don't think they meant to, and I don't even know that I have connections with any of them today. But if I did, I doubt they would remember it. And I know that as kids, their actions weren't malicious, egregious in any way. So as I got older, I learned the art of forgiveness. But that also taught me a level of compassion that when you give so discreetly that you make sure that people are able to hold on to their dignity. And when I'm able to be benevolent, I hope I do it in such a way that nobody knows it, and the recipients are able to always keep their dignity and their head held high. There's an old saying that I learned a long time ago, and I use it every time I get a chance. It said a gift should be received in the manner in which it is given. I've been the benefactor of a lot of wonderful gifts in my life, and not necessarily gifts of materialism, but gifts of extreme love and friendship and wonderful, beautiful relationships. And a lot of that benevolence, I believe, came from my ability to receive the gift in the manner in which it was given. I know it probably doesn't make sense, and I probably didn't understand it as much then as I do now. And those are such formative years. And I guess a lot of people have told me that, you could have turned out a lot different than you turned out. And maybe I could have. And I don't know why that I turned out the way I did. But regardless, here I am. And I don't share that story. Actually, I don't share it at all. I probably shared it a handful of times over the last 45 years or so. But I feel like now that I got stage 4 terminal cancer, that I just want to share my life. I want to get it on record. It's not necessarily to grow an audience. It's it's more just so maybe somehow, some way, someday that people can listen to this really small story in the big scheme of things and get some inspiration in their life and try to understand some of the things that they're going through. Because life is certainly fluid, it's dynamic, it's ever evolving. I was talking to my son just a little while ago, and my son and I own a bakery here in Jackson, Tennessee. I'm retired from it. But a wonderful customer of ours, a young lady of 35 years old, had a massive heart attack Saturday, and she's alive because of a ventilator. And another lady that's 55 years old that has kind of been a lifelong friend had double pneumonia, and she too is on a ventilator in the hospital. I don't think either one of these people saw these incidents in life coming. It just goes to show that life can change just like that. And a lot of people talk about, well, be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. There's some things in life you can't be prepared for. But what we can be prepared for is living in the moment. And I shared the story of BJ yesterday, a lady I met at Cancer Treatment Center of America. And I made the statement that I don't know, and I really don't know what became of BJ, but I do know that she lived till the day that she died. And I think that is the message I would like to impart on people as they listen to my story, is live every day fully alive. And I even have an acronym for alive. It's authentic, love, imagination, victor, and evolve. I was speaking at a Celebrate Recovery a few years ago, and I used the word live as an acronym: love, imagination, victor, and evolve. And at that point, I hadn't put the A on it for live alive. It's kind of weird how it transpired. And I was finishing up my talk on the acronym of live, and I said, and I really did. I said, wait a minute, there's something missing here. In order to live and really live life in a manner of which we're basically live up to the greatest miracle that we really are, I said maybe we need to add A to the beginning of this word and make it alive, and add A for authenticity, because I assure you that the majority of the people listening to this are not living their authentic self. They're not living the self that they know in their heart they should or could be, and they know mentally and emotionally that maybe they lack the courage to be authentic for the fear of rejection. So many things. I was speaking some time back to a group, and I remember making a statement. I said, there's people in the audience that are with someone they do not love, and there are people in this audience that love someone that they cannot be with. I'll let you connect the dots however you want to connect them, but there are people listening to this that makes sense to. So I wrote a quote. I want to end it with this: never put the keys to your happiness in anyone else's pocket. You hold the key. You hold the ink pen. You're the author. You're the artist. You hold the paintbrush. You can make the brush strokes. Make your life a beautiful portrait. Nobody's going to do it for you, and you deserve it. That's the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize, is you do deserve happiness. You're a product of your past, but you're not a prisoner to it unless you make yourself that way. So no matter what you've done, no matter the people you've crossed or offended, we can't unwind that clock. We can't unscramble the egg. We can't, I guess, put the milk back in the cow. I don't know where that came from. But nevertheless, I hope you get the point that to live fully alive and to be your authentic self, we have to live only forward. And all the mistakes we made, all of them, and God knows I've made plenty, they're only a stepping stone. They're a foundation, a solid foundation for so much wisdom that we couldn't have gotten any other way. Because, a lot of people try to share and impart wisdom upon us, but we blaze our own trail. We do. We blaze our own trail. We make our own mistakes, and we live with them. But a lot of people also let it bury them. And I refuse to do that. And if you listen to me long enough, I won't let you do it either. So that's my story, July 6, 2021. Thank you for listening. And tomorrow we'll be back with another chapter of Who the Heck Knows What.